Breaking. Jake Paul versus Tank Davis just got booted from Atlanta. But hold up, this isn't your typical cancellation story. What went down behind the scenes is absolutely wild, and the Georgia Athletic Commission just dropped some serious bombshells that have the entire boxing world talking. If you've been tracking the Paul Davis saga, you know this fight has been pure chaos from day one. The Georgia Athletic Commission just torpedoed this event harder than Tank's left hook against Ryan Garcia. But before you think this is over, let me break down exactly what happened, because this story has more twists than a Canelo combination. Most Valuable Promotions is scrambling, Netflix is involved, and the boxing world is divided on whether this was the right call. Rick Thompson, chairman of the Georgia Athletic and Entertainment Commission, didn't just reject this fight, he absolutely obliterated it. And I'm talking direct quotes here. "This is the dumbest shit tea I've ever heard. It's a money grabber, and I'm not okay with that." Think about that for a second. A state athletic commission chairman going on record calling out the biggest YouTube boxer in the world. Thompson made it clear that GAEC wasn't having any part of sanctioning what he saw as a dangerous mismatch disguised as a legitimate contest. The weight disparity was the killer issue. We're looking at Davis at his natural 135-pound lightweight championship weight versus Paul, who's been all over the map. 183 against Tommy Fury, 199 against Chavez Jr., and a massive 227 against Tyson. That's potentially a 90-pound difference on fight night. But here's where it gets interesting. MVP withdrew their permit applications entirely rather than fight the commission's ruling. Most Valuable Promotions found themselves in a regulatory nightmare. GAEC wasn't just concerned about the weight. They were questioning the entire premise of sanctioning this as either a professional bout or even an exhibition. Thompson's commission basically said, "We don't care how much Netflix money is involved, this isn't happening in Georgia." The irony? Davis has been calling for this fight since Paul put him on that infamous hit list back in 2021. Tank's been waiting for this payday, especially after that controversial majority draw with Lamont Roach Jr. left questions about his activity level and drawing power. Paul's team knew they had leverage though. After that record-breaking 108 million viewers for the Tyson fight, Netflix was all in on their boxing expansion. Losing Georgia wasn't going to kill this event, it was just going to relocate it, and that's exactly what happened next. Within days, MVP announced the fight was moving to Miami's Kaseya Center, but Florida's Athletic Commission had their own conditions. Timothy Shipman, Florida's executive director, was crystal clear. You can't do a fight like that as a pro fight. It'll be an exhibition fight. This changes everything. We're now looking at 12-ounce gloves instead of 8 or 10-ounce, a 195-pound weight limit for Paul, and most importantly, this won't count on either fighter's professional record. Tank's perfect 30-01 stays intact regardless of what happens November 14th. The exhibition classification also means different judging criteria. We're not looking for a definitive winner in the traditional sense. It's more about entertainment value and skill display, though both fighters are still competing to win. Florida essentially said, "We'll give you your Netflix spectacle, but we're protecting both fighters with modified rules." Then came the Netflix press conference that had the entire boxing Twitter roasting Tank Davis. During the media session, Tank literally forgot his own fight date. I'm talking about a world champion in the middle of promoting his biggest payday ever, asking, "When are we fighting again?" November 14th. The date that's been plastered everywhere for weeks. The host had to remind him. Paul immediately pounced. He's stupid as fuck. The secondhand embarrassment was real. This wasn't just a simple brain fade. It raised questions about Tank's focus and preparation. We've seen Davis pull unpredictable moves before. Remember when he posted on Instagram that his Roach fight was canceled? Fans went crazy until his team clarified it was still on. The optics were terrible for a fighter who's supposed to be the face of boxing, as he calls himself. Let's break down what we're actually getting in Miami. Tank Davis comes in as the legitimate world champion with ridiculous power. 28 KOs in 30 wins is a 93% finish rate. His left hand is legitimately one of the most dangerous weapons in boxing today. Ask Ryan Garcia about that body shot. But Paul's size advantage is unprecedented in modern boxing promotion. Even at the 195-pound limit, we're potentially looking at a 60-pound difference. That's not just a reach and height advantage, that's fundamental leverage in the clinch, different punching angles, and completely different fight dynamics. The exhibition gloves change Tank's biggest weapon though. Those 12-ounce pillows make it much harder to score the type of knockout that made him famous. Tank's power comes from precision and timing, not just raw force. Bigger gloves could neutralize that advantage significantly. Paul's got legitimate boxing improvements too. The Tyson fight showed he can handle pressure and big moments. Against Chavez Jr., he demonstrated better ring IQ and distance management. He's not the YouTube novelty act he was in 2020. This entire saga highlights boxing's ongoing identity crisis. Traditional gatekeepers like state athletic commissions are trying to maintain sporting integrity, while promoters chase massive streaming numbers and social media buzz. Netflix's involvement changes everything. They're not bound by traditional pay-per-view models or boxing politics. They want content that drives subscriptions and global attention. Paul vs. Tyson proved that formula works. 108 million viewers is bigger than most Super Bowls. Tank's getting his biggest payday ever, probably 8 figures. Paul's building his Netflix relationship for future events. Even as an exhibition, this is massive business for everyone involved. The ripple effects are already showing. Eddie Hearn went on record saying if Tank knocks out Jake Paul, the potential Anthony Joshua super fight is dead on arrival. That's hundreds of millions in future revenue hanging in the balance. Hearn's exact words. If you get chinned by Gervonta Davis, don't think you're fighting Anthony Joshua. Look at the broader implications too. Traditional boxing promoters like Top Rank and Golden Boy are watching Netflix throw around massive guarantees without needing gate receipts or pay-per-view buys. This streaming model completely disrupts boxing's traditional economics. We're also seeing athletic commissions lose leverage. Georgia says no, Florida says yes with conditions. When there's this much money involved, promoters can just shop for friendly jurisdictions. That sets a dangerous precedent for future mismatches. The real question is whether this model, celebrity boxing on major streaming platforms, represents boxing's future or a temporary cash grab that dilutes the sport's credibility. Here's my take on November 14th. Tank's power advantage gets significantly reduced by the exhibition gloves and rules. Paul's size advantage becomes the determining factor, especially if he can lean on Tank in the clinch and make it a rough, physical fight. I'm expecting Paul to survive the early rounds when Tank's looking for the highlight reel knockout, then use his size to grind out the later rounds. The exhibition format favors the bigger, stronger fighter when knockouts become less likely. Tank's only path to victory is landing something clean early before Paul can establish his physical dominance. But those 12-ounce gloves make that much tougher than his usual devastating knockouts. From a technical standpoint, watch for Paul to use his jab and clinch work early. He's learned to tie up smaller opponents and use his weight advantage. Tank will need to slip inside, work the body like he did against Garcia, and look for openings when Paul gets lazy with his hands. The psychological factor is huge too. Tank's never faced someone this much bigger in a legitimate contest. Paul's never faced someone with Tank's legitimate knockout power. Both fighters are dealing with unknowns that could affect their game plans dramatically. Style-wise, this becomes a classic boxer-puncher versus big physical opponent matchup. Think prime Mike Tyson versus a cruiserweight, except the cruiserweight has modern training methods and the heavyweight has limited knockout power due to exhibition rules. So there it is. Atlanta said hell no, Miami said yes with conditions, and we're getting this exhibition spectacle November 14th on Netflix. Love it or hate it, this is where boxing is headed. Traditional gatekeepers versus streaming money and social media hype. Drop your predictions below. Can Tank overcome the exhibition rules and size disadvantage, or does Paul's physical advantage carry him through? And make sure you're subscribed because this story is far from over. November 14th is going to be absolute chaos.